Hey, what's going on guys? Jake Verdon Tech here, back with another video, and today we are going to be taking a look at the Creality Ender 3 Pro version 2. More specifically, we're going to talk about why I decided to pick up another 3D printer, why I decided to go with another Creality Ender 3. We're going to talk about the differences between the original Ender 3 Pro and the Ender 3 Pro version 2. And whether or not the Ender 3 Pro V2 is worth the little bit extra money versus the original Ender 3 Pro. So starting off, I decided to purchase another 3D printer basically just to fulfill the demands of 3D printing projects that I've had lately, as I've had the company that I work for reach out to me with some 3D printing projects in mind that they would like fulfilled. And same goes with my friend who is in the process of starting up a flight simulation hardware company who has also needed some things 3D printed. While one printer was getting the job done okay, I figured it would be best to also have a printer at my workplace that I could run during the day and monitor periodically and getting some more print time in during the day. And as far as the printer goes, I went with another Creality Ender 3 Pro, and this one happens to be the version 2, which I really couldn't think of a better printer to go with, basically due to the price or performance that you get from an Ender 3, amazing print quality for a very reasonable price. And that's also not mentioning the amazing versatility of this printer and the fact that it is regularly available, which there are other printers out there that I am very interested in, mainly from Prusa. I've been wanting to try either a Prusa Mini or the i3, but I've yet to pull the trigger on one of those printers, mainly because of the price point and the availability of that printer, which they usually have a pretty long backlog before you're able to receive one. And I've been extremely satisfied with the Ender 3 Pro that I purchased about a year ago. It's been a phenomenal printer to learn 3D printing on, and the performance out of it has been really good, so I kind of just wanted to also stick with what I knew and perhaps get a little bit of an upgrade in the version 2. So speaking in terms of version 1 and version 2, you can basically think of the version 2 Ender 3 being that the best 3D printer for the money got even better. The Creality Ender 3 version 2 includes many upgrades that someone would normally print for the Ender 3, such as the drawer system underneath the printer, a extruder head, and the new LCD screen no longer has a bare PCB on the back. It's really cool to see that Creality perhaps saw what people were printing for the original Ender 3 and just decided to include that in the new design for the version 2. So the version 2 includes those upgrades, but many others as well. Probably the most notable feature about the version 2 Ender 3 Pro is the LCD screen with a new interface. The screen got a huge upgrade with a nice new interface that is a little bit easier to navigate and a few less steps compared to the menu system on the original Ender 3 Pro, and it's a very nice looking LCD. Another very notable feature of the Ender 3 version 2 is the fact that they changed the material of the print bed, as before we had a removable magnetic print bed. The new print bed is actually removable, but is a coated glass print bed. I wasn't sure how I felt about this, being that I never really printed on glass before, but so far it's really nice to work with, and the prints tend to come off pretty easily as well once finished. And with the glass being held in by two captive clips, you don't have to worry about the print bed becoming misaligned where you have to re-level it each time you remove a print. So far my prints seem to have a really good adhesion to the bed with this textured glass that they use, so far it seems like a really good print bed material. Another very notable feature of the Ender 3 Pro version 2 is that they included a new tensioning knob system for the belts on both the Y-axis of the bed and the X-axis of the actual print head. So the last main difference I can think of for this 3D printer is that they added some feet to the bottom of the printer to allow for a little bit of spacing between the surface that the printer is sitting on, to allow for the components underneath to breathe, as they did relocate the power supply underneath the printer opposed to the side Z-axis post. This gives the printer a much cleaner look, and I think it was a great move on Creality's part. And I almost forgot to mention, this printer compared to the version 1, the stepper motors are pretty much silent. While you do get a bit of a enhanced audible fan noise from the heating element fan, the stepper motor still remains silent, and the power supply being relocated underneath makes it also a little bit quieter. That was one of the strangest things for me to get used to, is not hearing the actual movements of the print head. While on the Ender 3 version 1, you could definitely hear the movements of the print head very well. As far as the assembly went for this printer, it went pretty smooth. There was a couple steps I had skipped, which I had to go back and undo some things, but other than that, it was still pretty easy. One thing to keep an eye out on this printer versus the original Ender 3, which I don't remember encountering, is the level of the bed. When I had it cranked all the way down, I did have some interference with the rear stepper motor of the bed. So make sure you have full clearance of the bed to where it hits the pressure switch on the back without having any sort of confliction with the rear stepper motor. And to correct this, make sure you have your Z-axis pressure switch adjusted up a little bit in the height, and that way your bed will have full clearance. So as far as the price point, whether it's worth it or not to spend a little bit more money and get the Ender 3 Pro version 2 versus the original Ender 3 Pro, I would say it's definitely worth it, basically because this is a much more refined Ender 3 Pro, and you get so many good added features to it. Not only does it come with many of the features that a lot of people print for the Ender 3 Pro, but it also comes with that really nice LCD display and interface, and the glass print bed is really nice to print on so far. And I really like what they did with the overall frame, adding the feet to it and putting the power supply underneath. I feel like this is just a much more refined printer. And as far as the price difference goes, it can range anywhere from $30 to $60 depending on where you order it from. And I would say the version 2 is still a fantastic printer for beginners. The interface is a little bit more user friendly on the LCD display now. And as always, my recommendation to beginners is to take the bed leveling kind of slow, watch some videos and see how others do it. And from my experience, just make sure you have that Z-axis pressure switch adjusted properly, so when you go to auto home, your print head won't go too far down and put pressure on your glass print bed. That is it for this video, guys. Thank you for watching. I just kind of wanted to make a video summing up why I decided to buy another 3D printer, why I went with the Ender 3 Pro version 2, and what the main differences are between the Ender 3 Pro V2 versus the V1. Thank you guys for clicking on another one. If you found this video helpful and enjoyed it, make sure to drop a like on it. And if you want to see more tech related videos like this one, be sure to subscribe. As always, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.